Welcome to another episode of the Quip Corners Book Corner. My guest has been here before, and not just in the book corner, but also in the Quip and Convo segment. You'll see his bio in a bit, so please join us in the Zoom room. Welcome back to the Quip Corners Book Corner, Stephen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Ada.
It's good. It's good to have you for sure. I know that the last time we talked, you said, "Oh, I'm almost finishing my second book," and now we are gone past that finish line.
Yeah, we have. My second book, it was published early November. I did like the official launch, as you would call it, on the mid-November, November 12th.
Yes.
And I've been having a great time with it. You want me to show you the
Yes,
it's called
please.
a year it's called A
Nice.
Year in the Room, and
Uh-huh.
it's a sequel to my first book, which was called Into the Room.
Into the room. Okay.
And so this one is called A Year in the Room because my main character, who's alcoholic,
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to explore that first year of recovery for an alcoholic.
Okay.
Because when you talk to people in recovery, they seems to me, they always say that first year was the worst or the
Okay.
hardest. And I really wanted to explore what it would be like after, in the first book, this guy, Ben, he takes his first steps to God, takes his first steps to sobriety, but then, well, what do you do next, right? So that's what we did, or I did in this book, is I took him as low as I could get him, and then started to bring him out. Um,
Mm,
and it's got a nice hopeful ending. It's a hopeful
nice.
ending, no sad endings. It's got a hopeful ending, and I really explored what happens in that time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an overall what the book's all about.
Nice. And before we started, this, you said that you've been getting good reviews on
Hmm.
this book. So what are the reviews centered around? What do
Yeah.
those who have read it
I'm
say is good about it?
I'm getting really good feedback and sincere feed. You can always tell whether it's just a friend saying, "Hey, I like your book," and people that are giving you sincere feedback. And
Yes.
the two biggest pieces are they love the way I explored the, I guess, road to redemption. Maybe that's the
Uh-huh.
way to put it, or road
Yes.
to recovery,
Yeah.
in the way I took Ben into like the lowest place he could go.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have said they read the book very quickly, that they thought it was a page turner.
Okay.
And as I told you before we got on, I wasn't that confident coming in, but maybe that's the writer thing, right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
writers aren't confident about that.
Yeah.
But I'm really humbled and blessed to get that kind of feedback
Yes.
because those of us that write faith-based books, it's not really us writing. It's God going through here, going through your finger into the keyboard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I feel really blessed to have that be part of the feedback I'm getting on the book.
That's
And it, and if you want me to shift a little bit, there's a travel component to this book that I want to talk about a little bit too, if
yes,
that's
please.
okay. The first book took place entirely in Israel,
Yes.
and the feedback after the first book was if you write a sequel, they don't say it has to be, but we would like a travel piece of it. And so I did a lot of research as to what I wanted to do. And the first thing I was thinking of was have Ben walk the El Camino in Portugal and Spain, and the problem I ran into with that was there's so many books and movies about the Camino, I could come up with nothing new to write. And then my pastor at church, she suggested the island of Iona off of Scotland. And my wife, who at the time was working at REI, the Outdoor Outfitters, about 3 weeks later was fitting a man for hiking boots, and he was a pastor downtown here in Richmond, and he was about to take a trip to Iona on a pilgrimage of his own. And to me, that's as soon as
Confirmation.
my wife told me that, I said, yeah, we got to go to Iona.
Confirmation. Wow.
And 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 so we went to Iona, which is the coolest island. It's in that Hebrides Island area of Scotland, that kind of the northwest
Hmm.
uh, piece of Scotland, and it's just this little rock, really, and it's been there, obviously forever. And it was settled by a monk in the year like 560. His name was Columba. They call it he's Saint Columba now in the church. And he built a monastery, and they translated the Book of Kells there, and they did all
Okay.
kinds of stuff like that there. And then in the 1930s, a Scottish pastor named George MacLeod thought that the church was losing touch with the common person.
Okay.
So he started this thing where he took new seminary students, graduates, to Iona, and he also took craftsmen from the mainland to Iona in the summers during the Depression, and they refurbished the monastery and the things on the island. And and this whole community has grown from that. People go there now and they do their mission work and all of that. And Iona is referred to as one of those thin places, meaning the separation between people and God is thin, thinner than in other places on earth. And so I know I'm talking a lot about it, but we went there and we spent a week there, and you can hike the whole island in a day if you want to. But we
Mm.
went and saw all the different things on the island and all the different significant pilgrimage areas. And then I took Ben with me. So my character Ben has his most significant uh, permanent change in his recovery while he's on the island of Iona.
Oh.
And there's a penultimate scene where he's in a blinding rainstorm and doing his
Hmm.
thing. And so it was really great. And it's okay if I give you one more piece about Iona?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I don't want to. And then there's a place on Iona called Columbus Beach, and it's where this Saint Columba landed. He came over from Ireland back when people did it in these leather boats, and it's a little unclear exactly why he was running away from Ireland, but he could have been in trouble. Who knows?
Hmm.
But that beach is all rock. And the big experience in a pilgrimage there is you go to that beach, you sit on the rocks, you dig your hand in, you pull a rock out, and there's something on your heart you want to get rid of. You throw it into the North Atlantic, and it
Okay.
takes it out of your heart into the Atlantic.
Okay.
And then you start forward. So I did that personally while I was there.
Uh-huh.
And my wife did it personally. And then, of course, this isn't much of a spoiler. Ben does it in the book. Um, and so it's pretty neat. And if I can reach over my shoulder for a second, I want to show you
Yes,
something. Hold
please.
on one sec.
Okay.
So I've got these rocks I took from that beach,
Okay.
but this one is the most interesting one. My wife found it. It's a little gray rock and it's got a
Mhm.
cross on it. And so she gave it to me, so I carry it with me now when I move around. And
Oh,
in the book, I use it. Um,
nice.
so and I've been just having so much fun with the launch and, just talking to people about the book and getting out there in front of people. And it's been a fun month, I guess is
Hmm.
the way to put it.
Nice, nice. So, you know, um, it's great to have, these high points, after the launch of a book and things like that, and the great reviews, those help us. So I'm curious, when you think about your process of writing the book, the experience, and the feedback you have received, what's one or maybe two or three things, what are two or three things you want people to take away from reading this book before you read a part of it to us?
Hmm. Yeah, okay. And I think what I would like someone to take from the book is, I mean, the character in this book is, supremely in trouble with his
Mm,
alcoholism and what he's done with his family and all of
yeah.
that. However, I'm hoping that people will read it and see something in themselves that they want to address. It may not be
Okay.
anywhere near as extreme as what's going on with Ben, but
Yeah.
maybe it's my time. I'm speaking to myself here. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's my time to address
Yeah.
this factor. And I also, I'm hoping that people understand that with God, it's never too late, or you can never go too far down the wrong road
Mm.
that you can't get back to Him.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand that. And well, that's a personal belief, obviously, but I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
evidence of that in the scriptures and
Yeah.
all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of the thief on the cross. You know, he's hours away from expiring on the cross, and you know, he reaches out to Jesus, and Jesus says, "You'll
Yes.
be with me in paradise." So I'm hoping that that will be the two big things they take. And obviously, I just hope they like the story.
Amen.
Because as I'm describing this sounds like it's a really thick, heavy story, but it's not. I mean, it is. But what I've done is I've created a bunch of colorful, for lack of a better word, characters around Ben. You know, I got like a 75-year-old chain smoking woman, and she's a big influence on Ben. And I've got a retired Navy cook who owns a great bakery. And then
Yeah.
in Scotland, I got this cranky old farmer who helps him out. And I try to bring it, I try to make it so it's a quick read and it's lighthearted, but at the same time, you're
Nice.
looking at significant
Deep things.
um, issues in the man's
Yeah.
life.
Nice.
Um, and and he has to deal, he really has to deal with his family in this book.
Yeah.
And that can get pretty heavy. So
Yes.
I put a little romance underneath everything so I could just have a little break. I had two
Nice.
characters from the first book continue a romance. Um,
Okay.
so anyways, that's what I tried to do with it. But it really, I just hope they enjoy the book and pull something about their own journey from it. And
And
when you write, I don't mean you, when a person writes faith-based stuff,
yeah.
whether it's fiction or nonfiction, chances are you're reaching somewhere deep into yourself in with what you're writing.
True.
I believe most faith-based writers are trying to get something that they've struggled with on the page in one
Mm.
form or another, and opening their heart and being vulnerable with it. And I'm hoping that they get that from the book. Sorry, I'm talking a lot, but you
Amen.
got me all fired up here. So I'm talking a lot.
I'm not
So, you
complaining.
know, um,
I'm not complaining, but
but it's
please read something from your book to us.
sure. You know what I'll do is I'll read yeah, I'll read like the first page and a half.
Okay.
And because the first page and a half of the book is the first book, and you really don't have to read the first book to read the second book. I mean,
Right.
obviously, I'd love it if people read both because
Yeah.
they're separate. But what is happening is, in the end of the first book, he's on the plane flying home from Israel.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the second book, he's walking off that same plane. So
Mm.
it's literally 12 hours after the book ended, or
Yeah.
give or take. So so chapter one is called A Bed and a Cat. And so I'll go ahead and read the first page and a half or so.
Okay.
So it starts with 12 hours changes everything.
Mm.
This shouldn't be the case. 9 hours ago, I was at relative peace, embracing an optimism verging on joy, and journaling about my new world view as the jet cut across the globe. After I put my pen down, I couldn't decide on a movie, the meal service ended, and the flight got quiet. With nothing else to do, I deliberated my next steps. My post-landing to-do list is more complicated than most. Fix my marriage, repair relationship with my kids, Zach and Olivia, keep from drinking, find a job, figure out the God situation, and get a handle on my finances. Oh, and find a place to live. I'm wishing I ordered a Bruce Willis movie. I push back the acid collecting in my stomach. What do I do first? Get a
Mm.
hotel? Find an apartment? Live with my brother? Bag groceries? Get a financial advisor? Lawyers? Since I'm not sure I believe I'm sober, why would anyone else? Either way, who's going to hire, rent to, or trust a drunk, broke real estate developer? Richmond's a small town, and everyone will know what I did. Plus, there's Sarah, the woman who agreed to share the rest of her life with me. I responded by drinking myself into oblivion almost every night. Sure, I had a few shining moments, but for too much of our relationship, I was more devoted to my daily alcohol addiction than to our marriage and the family we created together. She'll never take me back, and my kids fear me. How do I outrun what I've made of myself? I'm a kettle on a low burner, gradually working up to a boil. My joy at taking a few positive steps has become steam evaporating into the ceiling. How do I get out of this mess?
Mm. Mm.
And and then what I can give you like a really brief what happens right after that, because the book is called A Year in the Room. And
Yes.
uh, right after that, he finds a little small room above a bakery that a church owned. And that's where he settles in to start moving forward.
Nice.
And then, he finds jobs and all of that.
It's good.
Uh, and I had it, the book was fun to write, but it was difficult to write because of, it's first person and this guy's as messed up as anybody I've ever been around. And
Yeah.
I mean, granted he's fictional, but he's messed up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's the book kind of in a nutshell.
Nice. Well, thank you for taking the time to,
Mhm.
sh write this book and talking about the importance of the road to redemption, because that's something that a lot of people give up too
Yeah,
soon.
they do. You're right. And what's that phrase? It's always darkest before the
The
dawn.
dawn? Yeah.
Yeah, and he meaning God is always there.
Yes, he is.
And if you he's always there to get you back. And
Amen.
you have to make the steps, but he's always there to get you back.
Yes, he is. He is. Yeah. Well, thanks again for taking the time to
Thank you.
spend the time with me. I enjoyed learning about your book. God bless you.
Thank you. And thank you very much, as usual, for having me on.
You're welcome. My pleasure and privilege.
So how you doing? Talked in
I'm
a while. You
well.
doing well?
I'm doing well. I'm doing
Good.
well. Looks like you've been doing a few exciting
Good.
things in your book.
Yeah. It's been very busy the last couple of weeks, which is good. That's all a good thing. And I've been out doing a few talks here and there and been getting really surprising for me because I like the first book better, but I've been getting a lot of positive input on this book. So that's good.
Nice.
And but I thought the first book was better, but that's not the feedback I'm getting. So I'll
Well,
go with that.
exactly. Each to their own, right? Because sometimes, even the Bible says
Yep,
the glory of the
exactly.
latter, or, better than the glory of the former.
Yep,
So, whatever learnings you had as you wrote that first book, I'm sure you improved, in this second book. So,
yeah,
yeah, that's how it works.
that's
Nice.
what I think too. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Yes.
uh,
Okay.
okay, well, I'm ready for whatever you want to
All
do.
right. Okay. A year in the room. Sounds like an interesting one. I like the fact that it's about the road to redemption, because for as long as we're alive, there is a road to redemption. You'll see information on how you can get copies of Stephen's book below this, and I'd love to read your comments about this video and possibly even about the book. God bless you. Bye now.